Okay, so we are going to continue on here in the second part of Module 2. As we know, Module 2 consists of both chapters 3 and 4 in our book, okay? Last time we were together, we looked at chapter 3. If you need to catch yourself up on chapter 3, remember that in our Module 2 session recordings, I do record those lectures as well as any demonstrations of parts that I do as well. So you're going to notice here that I do have the tutorial that we did last time. So here's the full video on that if you need to go back. And then I also did a couple of part demonstrations that are in assignment number 2. So I do have the indexing guide broken into 2 parts. I had to do it 2 ways, or that way it's split up. And then I also did the coupling base as well. So if you do need to, take a peek at that and take a look, feel free to do that. Tonight, we're going to be moving on. Like I said earlier, we're going to be looking at the second part of Module 2. I'm just going to head back to our learning plan here in Module 2. So we're going to be specifically looking at Chapter 4. And the 2 things that we're going to be paying close attention to are creating part templates for both. We're going to be doing it for English units and for metric units, so that then you don't have to go in and always re-click on, all the stuff and reset it. And then I'm also going to be showing you how you can select and change the material, assign it for a part, and then determine what mass properties are, volumes, weights, that type of thing. Okay. So we're going to be going to chapter 4, and we're going to be creating the saddle bracket. The saddle bracket then is the second tutorial for the practice problems for module 2. So once we get done with the saddle bracket, I will be showing you what you'll need to hand in, because again, we're going to be assigning material. There's going to be a box that you have to pull up, and you have to have that part of your screen snip. And then we're going to be, highlighting and looking at the last 4 problems in assignment 2 as well. All right, so let's take a peek underneath my camera here. We're going to be looking at chapter 4. So chapter 4 is that feature design tree. Okay. And we're going to kind of continue to emphasize some of those elements. But before we jump in and really start modeling, we are going to start by creating 2 user-defined part templates. One is going to be for English units, and one is going to be for metric or millimeter units. Okay, so we're going to do the inch one first. Now, as we go through here, the bones of this are the same as what's shown here in the book on these pages for the tutorial, but there are some additional settings that I'm going to show you that you're going to want to change, and they don't identify it in here. Okay. And they're going to go along with the ANSI standard. So, so the process that I'm going to do is going to follow this. So I'll kind of go back and forth, but I'm going to start over here in SolidWorks. So pulling up SolidWorks and just clicking on kind of the generic part template that when you go in there, you can just hit part just like we normally go in. And as we know, we would normally have to go up to our gear over here for the options, and we have to go into document properties and kind of change all that stuff. So we're going to do that one more time, but this time we're going to create a template, and we're going to save it so that you can then pull that template up, and you don't have to do all these manual changes anymore each time you make a drawing or each time you make a model. So let's go ahead and go up to our little gear on the top here. And what we're going to do is we're going to do what we normally do. We're going to go to our document properties. I am going to add a couple extra things here, so do pay attention and follow along. So first of all, on our drafting standard, we want to make sure that this is set at ANSI. Additionally, go at the bottom here and check the 3 boxes for uppercase. If you don't do that, I don't know why, by default, even though neither one of the standards, ISO or ANSI, we all do capitals for everything on drawings, it'll come in with lowercase values. So put uppercase for everything. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go down to annotations. Okay. And we are going to expand that on the left-hand side. And we're going to go down the list here. Okay. And we are going to change anything that is ISO to ANSI. So over here on the right-hand side, when we hit balloons, under base balloons standard, we're going to arrow down and we're going to hit ANSI. Okay, that's all you need to do on that one. Then we're gonna go down to datums and we're gonna arrow down and hit ANSI. GD&T or geometric tolerancing, arrow down and click ANSI. Notes, arrow down, click ANSI. The revision clouds, nothing there, but surface finishes, arrow down and click ANSI. And then also the weld symbols, arrow down and click ANSI. Okay, so pretty much everything in here except for the revision clouds, you want to change from ISO to ANSI. All right, I'm gonna minimize that, hit that minus sign, and then now we're gonna do that same thing down into dimensions. So I'm gonna click on dimensions first. The first thing that we're gonna change, so this is changes for all of them, I believe. We're gonna change this primary precision. Now, these dimensions are gonna reference when we see the dimensions, for instance, in our sketches, but also when we create drawings later on. So most often, the most popular number of decimal places for anything that is decimal is usually 3 decimal places, okay? That doesn't mean that you have to keep it that way, but by default, we're just gonna tell it, do 3 for right now, and then we will change individually as needed, and you'll find out how to do that when we do drawings. So I'm gonna arrow down underneath primary precision to 3, okay? And that's just what the decimal places are gonna show on the screen, okay? And now I'm going to, yeah, I'm gonna expand out with that plus sign, and we're gonna go down then all of these individual ones, and we're gonna go to angle, and we're gonna change that to ANSI. Go to angle, angular running, change it to ANSI. Then we're gonna go to angle length, and we're gonna change that to ANSI. And then you're also gonna notice, just that if you glance down, primary precision should be that 3 decimal places, which is exactly what we want. Then we're going to chamfer, ISO to ANSI. Diameter, ISO to ANSI. Hole call out, ISO to ANSI. And I'm going to go back to ISO. The big difference here is you probably noticed this, if you didn't change to ANSI or make these changes when we were doing our sketches, it kind of puts that line underneath things and then the note goes on top of it. That's what ISO does. That's the other standard. In the United States, we use the ANSI standard, all right? So it's the American National something Standards Institute, I think. But I think that is actually it. So make sure that that's ANSI. Linear, ISO to ANSI. Now, this one is the tricky one, so follow me here. Go over on the right-hand side and change the text position to be in the middle here, all right? We're gonna come back to that, but change it to right there for right now.
The one on the far right.
Yep, the one on the far right, right here. We want it to be right there. We don't want it to be the middle one. The middle one is the default. We want to go to the one on the right for linear. Then ordinate, ISO to ANSI. Radius, ISO to ANSI. Okay. Then we're going to go down to tables, and we just want to double check. I don't think there's anything in these bill of materials. Yeah, nothing in here. So we've done nothing in tables, but then we are going to go down to detailing, and I want to make sure that there's a check mark on cosmetic threads. Do you guys see that? Okay. And also on GD&T. Right. Make sure that those are there because sometimes they're not there. Then we're going to skip over grid and snap, nothing to do there, but we're going to go to units, and this we've done before. I like to set mine at 5. I have the ability to put in 5 decimal places so that my precision in the background is that, but when we set our dimension to 3 decimal places, I don't necessarily need to see 5 decimal places all the time. Does that make sense? You don't need to see 5 zeros after the 1, okay? So I'm going to leave mine at 5. You can put yours to 4 or 6 or 13 or whatever you want it to be, but I like to have 5 because when I'm converting fractional inches, when we get down into the 32nd and the 64th, there's 5 decimal places there. And I want to be able to enter each one of those. Okay. So make sure that it's for each one of the links there. And everything else can remain the same. And we're simply going to hit OK. All right. Now, this is what I need you to do. Go back into options. Go back up there. Go back to document properties. And underneath dimensions here, if you need to expand it, you can go back to linear. And now click in the middle. And now we're gonna hit OK. When we did it the first time, for some reason, it keeps that ISO with the line underneath it. You have to actually hit OK, go back in and then rechange it. And now it's OK. So I know it's a little change, but it is important. Okay, so now we have that set up. What we want to do is we want to assign that to a template. So I'm going to go back underneath here. Oopsie. Go back underneath here. And where we're at is we are going to, we already saved this. We're going to now save as, and if we turn the page, we're going to be creating a folder to put this template in. Okay. Now, if you are on a computer here, as we know, it won't save. So you can put this on a jump drive. Okay. So, so what we're going to do, if you're at home on your own computer, you can then navigate to a place where we know where we're going to recall this. So I'll show you what I did and where I put mine. But again, this can also, it can also go on a jump drive. So I'm going to go up to File. We're going to go to Save As, just like we normally would. Okay, Save As. And then what we're going to do is we are going to navigate to where we want to save this. So we want to create a folder where we are going to call this, what do they want you guys to call it? I think they call it tutorial or part tutorial templates. So up on the top of page 4.7, they want you to call your folder tutorial templates. Okay. I called mine SolidWorks templates. So whichever one, but something template. So we can go back, and that's the directory name. So let me go back to SolidWorks here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate to where I want to do this. So where you want to go is you can put this in this class. So if you have a SolidWorks, I called it SolidWorks for Machinists or SolidWorks Tool Design 1, and you have a directory for this class, that's a great place to put that. Okay. And what you want to do is you want to get to that directory. You want to click up here on New Folder. Okay, New Folder. And then we're just going to call it what they said. We're going to say, I'm going to call mine SolidWorks underscore templates, only because it can be anything then otherwise, right? So it's a little bit more descriptive, I think, to put SolidWorks in front of it. Okay, so there's my folder. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on this folder to go in that folder where there are no files yet, but this is now where we're going to save. So we're in the Save As command, and we're going to change our file name here. Okay. And they want us to call our file name part underscore IPS. Remember, our IPS is inch, pound, seconds. Those are the units. And then underscore ANSI. Okay. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go over there. And I'm going to go. I like all caps for file names. So part underscore IPS underscore ANSI. Okay. Now we need to change the file type because this is not a SolidWorks part. This is a SolidWorks template. So underneath here where it says Save As, the file type, we're going to arrow down and we get all this whole list. Okay. The one we want to choose is part templates, and it's .prtdot. So that's going to be the extension after the dot. Okay. So it's about 3/4 of the way down. Part templates. So I'm going to click on that. So that's the format now. All right. And then all that we're going to do is once you have the name there, we're simply going to, oh, it went into, a little mad at it. It didn't go where I wanted it to. Hold on. I know why, but I'm hoping. There we go. And then now just to verify that it's in the directory you want it to go in. And now we're going to say save. Okay. So we saved that setup. Okay. Everybody here with me so far? Awesome. Okay. Virtually, you guys good? Just want to, whoopsie. I'll put the chat box up. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, good. All right, so, thank you, thank you, thank you. So what we're gonna do now is we are going to close this file. So we're not gonna close out of, we're not gonna shut down SolidWorks. We're simply going to close that file, okay? So then we get back to kind of this open screen. Now, we are going to start a new file again. So this is gonna be the process that you would use to now start a new part. So I'm gonna go into new, and normally we would be over here and you would see the part, right? You may see that right now. But what you want to do is you want to find that button that says advanced. All right, we're going to click on the advanced button. Oh, I didn't do one thing. You're not going to see your parts there. Let's hit cancel. Let's hit cancel. Gotta do one more thing before we do that. We've got to say where it has to go. So we are going to change. We have to go, I'm sorry, and we can do this right here. We don't have to, do we have to be in the new? I don't think we do. We don't need to be in the new. We're going to go directly up here to options. And you should only have systems tab here because we have not opened anything up. And we're going to go right down to file locations. So we have to tell it where to look first. I apologize. I was a little ahead of myself. So we're going to go to file locations. Now, we want to, so here's our document templates. There's going to be a path here that it's going to go to where SolidWorks, when you load SolidWorks, and even on the computers here, it goes to a directory where it has like kind of generic templates. Okay. And that's what that part template is, or the drawing template, or the assembly template. But because we created one now that is different than that standard one, we want to let it know where to find that. So we're telling it, okay, the file location for the document templates, we want to add a new one. Okay. And now you're going to navigate to where yours was. So mine was under SolidWorks for Machinists, and I've got my SolidWorks templates, and you just want to select that directory. That's it. Okay. You just want to select that directory. And then once you have it selected, you're going to say select folder. And now you're going to see it listed down here. And you're going to select that directory. Okay. Everybody see that listed down there now? All right. And then you're going to hit OK. And then it says, would you like to make that change? You want to say yes. Yes. Uh-oh. We're going to say yes if it tells you to do that. All right. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. So it's just a little safeguard to make sure. I hope so. Now what we can do is we can start a new file. This is what I was doing before. Start a new file. And you're going to start out here on that part. You're going to go to advanced if it's not already there. And now what you should find underneath here is you should be seeing your template that you just created, where it's part underscore IPS underscore ANSI. Is that correct? So every time you go in now, you're going to, if it doesn't do it, it should remember it if you're on your own computer that you want to go to the advanced, and then it's going to have this template tab, and you're going to click on that, and you're just going to either double click it or hit select it and then hit OK. And now it doesn't look like anything really changed here, but let's go look. We go into our options, we go to document properties. Now, if we go down this list, these are all in ANSI instead of ISO like they were before. Now we don't have to change any of those things. If we go to units, it's going to be what we assigned it just now. Okay. And then you can hit OK. All right. Does that make sense to everybody? So now we don't have to do that extra little step. When you go into a new file, you're going to pick that one. We're going to make one more of these. All right. And we're going to make another one using the ANSI standard, but with metric units. Okay. So this time it'll go a little faster and maybe make a little bit more sense. So we're going to close out of this part right here. We're going to close out of this. And we're going to start new again. And we're going to go through that very same process a second time, but this time with the millimeters as our units. So I'm going to start new, go back to novice, just pick the generic part because we want all those kind of settings, but we're going to change just the ones that we need to. We're gonna go up to options. We're gonna go to document properties. And now we're going to make sure that our drafting standard is ANSI. Click all of the all caps or uppercase. We're gonna expand out annotations. Go down to balloon, change from ISO to ANSI. All of each one of these datums, GD&T, notes. Revision cloud doesn't need it, but surface finish does, and weld symbols does. So all of those need to go from ISO to ANSI. Okay. Then we're gonna do the very same thing for dimensions. Expand out dimensions, angle needs to go to ANSI. Angular running needs to go to ANSI. Arc length, ANSI. Chamfer, ANSI. Each one of these. Now that linear, remember, you need to change it to the one on the right. Okay, and then we're gonna have to go back and change it back to the middle. Yes, well, no, we'll be changing that in just a bit. So, I'm gonna do ordinate, because this time, remember, when we get down to our units, we're gonna be in millimeters, right? So hold on, we'll get there in just a second. So once you have all of your dimensions here in ANSI, okay, you can collapse that. Then we're gonna go to, remember, we didn't need anything in tables or that one. We're gonna go to details, detailing, make sure that cosmetic threads and GD&T is checked. Like I said, sometimes it's not. Skip over grid snap. Go to units. Now, this is where we're gonna change the units on top here from inches to millimeters. Millimeters, so you want the MMGS, millimeters, grams, and seconds. And then now here are decimals. Millimeters are much smaller increments than what inches are, right? So 5 place on a millimeter would be super duper tiny, okay? We don't see that very often. So I always change my millimeters from 5, I go to 2, okay? And I'm gonna do that on my length here as well. Okay. And before I leave, I want to set the precision of what I'm going to see in my drawing. So I'm going to go back up to dimensions here. And on the generic dimensions, not the individuals, our primary units, we want to go from 2 places to 1 place. That's the most common for millimeters. You'll see none, 1, sometimes 2. Okay. But we'll leave it at 1 decimal place. And then we're going to hit OK. Now we have to go back in and change that linear dimension. Okay. So we're going to go back to options, document properties, expand dimensions, go down to linear. And this is where we want to reselect back in the middle here so that it's in the middle of the dimension. Otherwise it puts the line underneath. Not sure why it does that, but it does. It's a little quirk.
So is it possible it's saved it?
I didn't save yet.
No, I meant that the default minimum is already.
But yeah, maybe yours is. Mine never is. And yeah, so I want to be sure that it's there. Okay. So now we're ready to save this as our millimeter template. Okay. So we're going to go up to File, Save As, and now you're going to navigate to that same directory that you had. Let's see, where is it? And we're going to call this one MMGS. That's the millimeters, grams, seconds, underscore. I'm sorry, part first. PART, because it's a part template, underscore MMGS in millimeters, and then underscore ANSI. So it's a part template in millimeters, and it's an ANSI standard. And then we're going to arrow down here, and we're going to save it as a part template. Okay. And then you're going to make sure that it's in the right directory where it needs to go. I have mine in SolidWorks templates, so it's going there. And we're going to hit save. Okay. All right. And then now we can go to close. And now if you did that right, you're gonna have these two templates in your advanced folder, okay? So this is part of your assignments, all right? So you're gonna get a screen snip of this because I want to make sure that you have these two templates created. And this is gonna be your proof. So we're gonna start a new file. Instead of going to part, we're gonna go to advanced. Now, right here, you should have a part IPS and a part MMGS, okay? What you're gonna do now is you're gonna take a Windows Shift S and you are going to do a screenshot of that. And that's gonna be part of the screenshots that you send in with assignment number 2. This is not a practice problem. This is an assignment problem. Katie.
That's the top, let's say templates, MVE, and then the folder name that I had.
Then you pick the folder name that you have. Yes. It has the 2 in there then. Absolutely. Yes. Does everybody else see that as well on yours? Do you have the 3, like more than one tab and but you see the tab that's specific to yours? Yes. So pick that one and then take the screenshot there. That lets me know that you created it. That's what I wanted you to do. Okay. So now you take that screenshot and whether you did a snip and you have it on your clipboard and you want to put it in, or if you saved it through that snip app, you can then save it as a PNG and it's going to be part of what you upload to the assignment. You can do that screenshot anytime. It doesn't have to be right now, but anytime, because if I go back to assignment number 2, so module 2 learning plan, let me go back a level. I'm going to go to assignment 2. Okay. The first part of assignment 2 are the 4 drawings from chapter 3. We worked on those the last time. The second part of assignment 2, or I'm sorry, yeah, assignment 2 is going to be create those user-defined templates. Just did that. We went step by step together. One for English, IPS, and the other one for MMGS for the metric, okay? Each one of these is basically worth 5 points. I need a screenshot or a screen snip of that folder when you open it up so I can see that you created them, okay? And that's it. I don't want to see the settings or anything like that, but just going through that process and having it in the right spot lets me know. So that's going to be the next thing. So one screenshot for both of those for number 2, okay? And then the last part of the assignment is going to be then adding the 4 models to this assignment. Now, I'm going to tell you that it isn't just making the models this time because we are going to be adding material here. So that's going to be what I'm going to be showing you how to do in our tutorial. Okay. And you're going to be applying that then for each one of these drawings and we'll kind of come back to this again. Okay. So right now, any questions? Okay.
Did you have, everything under templates or SolidWorks templates?
I called mine SolidWorks templates. Whatever you called your directory, you could have called it, the book is said tutorial templates. I think having SolidWorks in front of it just makes more sense.
So when you open up advanced, you have 3 tabs.
Oops, stop sharing for a second. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, so once we're here, we can now pick the directory that makes sense. You may have some tabs up here. Just make sure that it's going to be the tab of whatever you called that directory where you saved these user-defined templates, okay? And then you're going to pick, for this saddle bracket, we're going to be working in English units. So you're going to pick IPS and C, okay? And then you're just going to hit OK. All right. And now you don't even have to go back. If you wanted to verify, you certainly may. A good place to verify is down in the corner here. This is IPS. But if you wanted to go in and just, if you're not trusting it, all your settings should be there now. Okay. And you don't have to go back in and reset all of those things. So now we are ready to look at the tutorial in chapter 4. Okay. In chapter 4. So I'm going to stop the recording here to kind of separate this out as our as our user-defined templates, and then we'll be back looking at the saddle bracket.